On Transformers for PSP, we took a slightly different tack than the console SKUs. We have sort of a linear story, one single campaign that you play, but you play both from the perspective of Autobots and Decepticons. The difference is we make the choice of where you play each of them because we want you to play the key characters in the big movie moments. And in addition, we have some unique characters that sort of figure into a side story that intertwines with the movie story. Some of the characters will be definite fan favorites. Ones that are definitely close to the hearts of the development team are Hound, who a lot of people will remember as the Jeep, Sideswipe, Wheeljack, Thundercracker. I hope that's enough to get the appetites of the fans out there, excited. So we have the most playable characters of any of the SKUs in Transformers the game. We have about 25. We have more than 20. We have a bunch of drones, and we have all of these marquee characters from both Decepticon and Autobot side. As I mentioned earlier, we have this linear storyline that takes the movie storyline and has a separate storyline that intertwines and uses some of these unique characters for a separate story that occurs alongside of that. You'll have unique cinemas, you'll have unique characters, you'll have some unique action that occurs. You really get a sense of, hey, this stuff was happening behind the scenes while the movie was going on with these other characters who were my favorites. There's no hubs, there's not sort of a free-roaming environment where you run around and just sort of destroy stuff. We're very much focused on giving the player a focused linear experience where we control the big aha moments, the big movie moments that occur. You will get dropped into an environment that's fairly large, and you'll be able to run around and destroy things. You'll have the same sort of key tenets of Transformer gameplay, the destructibility, the scale, the ability to pick things up, the melee combat and the projectile combat. You'll have all of that, but it'll be more in this linear story format. In addition, we have a multiplayer component, which is huge. 4 different multiplayer modes. You have Capture the Flag, King of the Hill, Deathmatch, and Team Deathmatch. So we feel that there's a pretty big offering there for the Transformer fan. As anybody who's played PSP knows, and anybody who's worked on PSP knows, the control set is always a challenge. Lack of a second analog stick makes it challenging. We did a lot of research, sort of a lot of focus testing, and a lot of play testing on the development side just with our own guys, people who are pretty hardcore PSP players, to make sure that we were offering a wide enough set of controls. So what we have is we have 4 different control schemes. The default is the one that tested and proved to be the most familiar to, or the easiest to get into for most players. It has movement and turning left and right on the analog stick, and it has your pitch up and pitch down with the triangle and the X button. We also offer 3 other control schemes that are sort of more tailored to enthusiasts. So hardcore fans might like one where the face look is, or free looking is all on all of the face buttons. All of those should give you enough flexibility to really choose a control scheme that suits your playstyle. We come from a background with MechWarrior and sort of and the Heavy Gears stuff that's very sort of focused on really deep customization. We wanted to put some element of that in the game, but we didn't want to get into too sort of careful, detailed, stat type customization. So at the beginning of every level, including a multiplayer level, you have what we call light customization. You have 4 different weapon slots, and in each of those 4 different weapon slots, you'll have the ability to choose from a number of different weapon types. Each of those have different characteristics, from rate of fire, reload, damage that they do, and any sort of special properties. EMP weapons, for example, disable a player for a period of time, but they don't do any physical damage. Based on your play style, you'll be able to choose at the beginning of the mission a different weapon for each of those 4 slots, and then that will help you as you progress through the different missions. It's interesting, a question that was asked earlier is, did we start with the same models that the ILM folks did for the console? We actually started with those models as a guide for our artists to be able to use to create a template for us to create models that will look great on the PSP screen, but within the lower poly count limits. We actually have all of the same character voices, so we're using, Shia LaBeouf, and we have, the Optimus, the Peter Cullen Optimus, and the other voices will be exactly the same as what you've seen on the other SKUs. So it should be a good opportunity to really hear. The audio experience is pretty fun too. We have 2 concepts for collectibles and unlockables. We have special rewards, and these are sort of basically data discs that are hidden around the various levels. Through the single-player progression, the player will go through and be encouraged to explore because he wants to look for these special computer chips, or basically data discs. What those do is they unlock what we call special rewards, most of which are relate to the comic book art. IDW and Hasbro and Dreamwave all gave us access to some of our favorite, sort of classic comic book covers that we were able to put in there, which look great on the PSP screen. In addition to